Yeah, everybody, in this question we need to work out the difference in the area in these two circles within the semicircle. So we're given this is the blue bit, this is the blue circle or the blue shaded area, and these are the gray shaded areas. So we need to find the difference between the blue and the gray shaded areas. So to start with, I think what we can do is, if we are to mark the centers, it make it easier. So if the center of the semicircle, I say that's the center O. So here also is the same center. That's the center of the semicircle. So then if I can say the radius, so then if I can mark, you see this. So if I say OP and Q, so OP and OQ are the radius of the semicircle. So if I say that OP equals OQ, that is equal to small r, and that is the radius of the semicircle. And the center of the blue circle, I call it S. So S is the center of the blue semicircle. So we know that OQ is R and OP is also R. However, for the semicircle, for the blue circle, OP is the diameter, and so the radius would be R over 2. So we say OS is equal to SP is equal to R over 2. Now we're given the area of the semicircle. So area of the semicircle is pi r squared over 2. So we can say that is equal to pi over 2 times, sorry, that is 4, isn't it? So that is actually not 4, sorry, that is 2. The area of the semicircle of each large semicircle is 2. So pi r squared over 2, because a semicircle, that's right. So that is 2. So therefore pi r squared is 4. Therefore r squared is 4 over pi. Therefore r is 2 over root pi. So this is the radius of the large semicircle, and also this way we can find the area of the blue circle. So we can now work the area of blue circle. So I can write here area of blue circle. So that would be pi times the radius is r over 2 square, that is pi r square over 4, and then we put in the value of r. So I can say that substituting the value of r, we get area of blue circle is equal to pi over 4 times 2 over root pi whole square, and that is pi over 4 times 4 over pi, that is equal to 1. So that is the other bit we need to we need to know that. So the area of the blue circle is equal to 1. So then I know the blue circle, so now comes the grey circle. What do we do with the grey circles? Because we need to find the area of the grey circles too. So when we come to the grey circles, so in the grey circle, once again we will mark the centers. So suppose M and N. So I can say suppose M, N are centers of grey circles. So what we can do is, we can draw this line from O, which would sort of be the radius. I can also call this P. So OP is the radius of the large semicircle here. Of the large semicircle. So then I can draw a line from O passing to the center. So that we can call it, suppose it's OX. So we can say OP is equal to OX, equal to radius of large semicircle. And OP is equal to OS. We know the radius of the large semicircle, that is r over 2 pi. So I can say OP is equal to OX is equal to 2 over root pi. I will not be needing the OP that much, but I am going to do is then I'm going to draw 2 more radiuses of the small circles, of the grey circles. So I could say so I just give them some random names. So then I can say that My is perpendicular to OP. My is perpendicular to OP. Radius is perpendicular to the tangent. And similarly, MT is also the perpendicular to OT. I could extend it and say, like, if I said this was like OZ, or OZ, it doesn't matter, it's the same. So then I can say that these are radiuses, My and MT are the radius of the grey circle, and equal, suppose I call it A. A. So that's the radius of the grey circle. Okay, that's the, sorry, should be gray circle. So A is the radius of the gray circle. So then what am I doing? What I'm trying to find the radius. What is A in terms of the radius of the semicircle. So if I can find that, then I can go on and find the area. So my is mt, and that is A, and ox is 2 over root pi. So I can find what, I can say that OT is also A. O is A, and which would make MYOT a square. So OM, I can say now that OM is equal to OX minus XM, and I know what OM is. OM is the square root of A square, Pythagoras theorem. So I can say that it's equal to 2a square, that is root 2a, and OM so OX is, I know what OX is, so and therefore now equating, so I can write this in place of OM, so I can write this in place of OM, so I can write therefore, so if I just change the to help, so I can write therefore root 2a is equal to OX, so which is OX is here, isn't it? 2 over root pi, so that is 2 over root pi and minus xm. So xm is equal to a. It's also the radius. So we get root 2 plus 1 times a is 2 over root pi. So therefore a is equal to 2 over root pi multiplied by 1 over 1 plus root 2. So that's A for us. That's our A. So A is the radius of the gray circle. So now I can find the area of the gray circle. So I can say that the area of gray circle, or rather circles, equals 2 times pi times radius squared. So 2 over root pi times 1 over 1 plus root 2 squared. So that is 2 pi times, that be 4 over pi times 1 over 1 plus root 2 squared. So the pi's get cancelled and I get 8 over, I can expand this, 1 plus 2 plus 2 root 2. That is 8 over 3 plus 2 root 2. And that's the area of the gray circle, okay? So area of the gray circle is this. So what I now need to do is, then that's not all. The question is asking, what's the difference between the blue and gray shaded areas? The difference between the blue and gray. So the difference, I know one of them is 1. So the difference between the blue and gray. So now what we have to do is, we need to find the difference in um, in these two areas. So the difference in the areas so it will be 1 minus, or rather it is 8 over 3 plus 2 root 2, so this one, 3 plus 2 root 2 minus 1. That is equal to 8 minus 3 minus 2 root 2 over 3 plus 2 root 2. So that is 5 minus 2 root 2 over 3 plus 2 root 2. And then I can say that is equal to, I need to rationalize the denominator. So 5 minus 2 root 2 multiplied 3 minus 2 root 2 over 3 plus 2 plus 2 root 2 multiplied by 3 minus 2 root 2. So then I can write this as, multiply it all out, so that's 15 minus 10 root 2 minus 6 root 2. 15 minus 10 minus 6, yes, plus 2 root 2 times 2, 2, that's 4 times 2, that's 8, over 3 square minus 2 root 2 square, that's 8, so that is 9 minus 8, it's 1, isn't it? So just write 1. So then I get that is equal to 15 plus 8 is 23 minus 16 root 2, and that is the answer. Sorry, this is 1, right? So then the answer is 23 minus 16 root 2. Once again, I highlight it. So that's the answer, 23 minus 16 root 2. So the difference right is 23 minus 16